Oh, greetings. I'm speaking to you from the global headquarters office of Bigun Incorporated. Trying to balance the light a little bit here. Let me see if I can cut down the light behind. Maybe that'll help. Got a story with a ring to it. Back 1995, if I'm not mistaken, Estella and I had worked on my machine shed and taken the last 24 feet of it and had turned it into a residence, which was 2 stories. You know, pretty nice, no problem whatsoever. We moved out of where we were at and moved our furniture in, and well, we didn't get it all in the first day, so we went to my mother's and spent the night there. And I had a bad feeling that night about 10 o'clock, so I just drove back out to the building, and you know, wasn't any tire tracks. It was snowing. Wasn't any tire tracks or anything, so okay, everything's great. Well, the next morning we got up, went out there to get to work, and there was tire tracks. They went up the driveway and turned, and the tire tracks got out and went to the electric meter, which was being installed. We had waited till the last minute to get the meter turned on, and anyway, then the footprints went to the door, and the entry door, and the entry door was broke open, and some footprints went back out to the vehicle, truck, dual wheels, in the snow. Went back out a couple times, and but we went in. I was missing my travel toolbox and loaded with Snap-on tools, which is all I was buying at the time, and loaded with Snap-on tools, and $9,000 worth when the Snap-on dealer got them replaced. And but they tore up everything. This thief had tore up everything in there, jerking drawers out and throwing stuff around, and he pulled open the dresser for the bedroom, which we hadn't got up the stairs yet, and Stell's jewelry box was in there. And well, needless to say, anything in that jewelry box was gone. Necklaces, and had our both our high school class rings in there. Had my class ring I got when I got my master's degree at the university, and it had diamonds in it, and it was a nice ring, and that was gone. Well, the insurance company, let me jump. We called the sheriff's department. We went over to the neighbors and called the sheriff's department, and they sent out a deputy, and he wasn't really interested in doing any investigation. I pointed out the tire tracks. It had a very, very odd tire tread imprint, and hadn't seen one like that before. And so anyway, I made him take a picture of it, which I doubt was ever photographed. And the back door had been opened up, and stuff had been placed there at the back door to, I guess, to come back and get. But I think they saw us there that day and didn't come back. But anyway, yeah, there was a chrome coffee pot, one of those double globe coffee pots that had been moved, and there was fingerprints on it. And gave it to the deputy and said, "Here, get the fingerprints off of this and you'll find your culprit." Well, I'm sure that went in the first dumpster that was available. So, you know, we took a big loss on the jewelry. Insurance covered the tools. Snap-on dealer replaced everything's in there. He knew basically what was in that box, because he always looked through my toolboxes to see what the newest tool that Snap-on was making. There was a Snap-on plant just 12 miles away, and fellow that worked there worked in the prototyping area, so Snap-on would always make 50 prototypes and try them out, and but somehow 51 was always made, and I got the newest, greatest, and before the Snap-on dealers even knew about it. But I traded work for it, so you know, Snap-on wasn't missing anything. But the Snap-on dealer used to go through my toolbox and, hey, I like that, and he'd order it, and his distributor say, we don't have a such number. But that was always a funny thing. So we got Snap-on tools replaced. We lived there for a while, and then Estelle got a chance to do what she wanted to do, was be a turf grass specialist at a major golf course. In fact, they had 4 golf courses in there. Well, they had a whole bunch of houses and everything. It was a you know, a space that 7,000 acres that had homes in it, and they called it a territory. So and 4 golf courses. So anyway, we made the move and to there, and the deal was for the first 30 years she followed me and have all the kids, and for the second 30 years I follow her and have all the kids. So we went clear up to the other end of the state, and but then we moved back here, take care of our mother and our mothers, and we moved in with her mother, and so anyhow, one day a friend called me and he says, "You want an old mobile home?" I said, "Well, I don't know." He's, you know, explained to me the deal was his mother-in-law had one that had got floors that got so rotted that you couldn't walk on them, and that old press board stuff that didn't last. So she was going to get fined $30 a day for every day that thing was on that lot. She got another mobile home and put it in where that one had been, and they pulled that one off to the side, and the city didn't like it sitting there. So anyway, I figured, you know, was told all about it, and I thought, okay, I'll get it. So next day I got on the International 300 and fueled it up, and drove down there, and about 10 miles, and backed into that old mobile home, and the 300 has a fast hitch on it, which is a hydraulic drawbar. So I backed up there, and there's a trailer hitch ball on it, and raised it up under the trailer hitch ball of that mobile home, set the latch on it, pulled the concrete blocks that had been set under the front of it out, and pulled it out of there. Had to pull it across Illinois Route 1 and back out on the Route 1 to be able to turn it. And I knocked a street sign that was bolted to the side of a building, knocked it off. But the town guy says, no big deal, so we can bolt that back on, no trouble. So we brought it up here, moving it into the north pasture, got it hung up on the old crossing across the small ditch, and which was just a couple of well casing pipes and dirt thrown over them. And father-in-law been able to get in and out of there with his tractor and his pickup truck, but that mobile home didn't get across there. So we were kind of hung up. Tractor was out, trapped out there, and so it sat out there till the next year, and I traded the guy my old welding truck that didn't, you know, didn't have any welder or anything on it. And, I traded him a welding truck and a couple of motorcycles, and he come over with his trailer to get the welding truck. He had the backhoe on there, and the deal was that he was going to take the big cattle guard gate that we have out there now, and haul it up to our place. And he never got that cattle guard gate on that truck, on that trailer. That gate weighs a blue million pounds. It's all drill stem, half-inch wall thickness pipe. So anyway, he got in around, worked the way around, and got around to the other side of the mobile home, and hooked onto our tractor, and he used the boom on the backhoe bucket, and that's good hydraulic pull, and he pulled us around till we got it about where I wanted it, and and then he set that cattle guard gate. Like I said, that thing, he could barely drag it, but he got it wrestled into place, and so we got a good crossing for the small ditch. And so I made a wood shop, good place to work. Put plywood down on the floor so you wouldn't fall through, and put my table saw and joiner and all my wood tools in there, and you know, did quite a few projects out there. And but 3 or 4 years after I started doing stuff out there, we got 27 inches, I think it was, of snow in 3 days, and it collapsed that mobile home roof, collapsed the whole front end. And so I messed around and got my, got my tools out of there, and everything, and it sat there for a year or so, and I got upset. I didn't like the idea. Didn't like the looks of it. So my wife, where she worked at for the hospital system, the gal that worked the split shift, she had her grandson living with her, and he was a bad boy, I guess. He got in trouble with the courts, and he had a $300 fine that he had to pay off. He hadn't earned the money. He was about 14 years old. So, oh well, I made a deal with him, and I went over, got him, come back here, and it was hot. Oh, it was hot. And he grabbed the 16-pound sledgehammer that my father-in-law had, and he was the big guy swinging a 16-pound sledgehammer. As fast as I could rip the aluminum siding off of that, he was knocking the sides in and bringing that roof down, and which is what we wanted to do. Well, after he did that for a little bit, he was as red as, he was as red as a fire truck. And I stopped him, and I said, "Come on." So I took him out to the pond and told him to just get in the pond, get in there, get cooled down. You're in trouble. You've quit sweating. So he went in the pond and got his temperature back down under control, and then I took him home. The next day I went and got him again. Well, this time he used a little lighter sledgehammer, and he wasn't quite as aggressive. And we worked a while, and but one time he held up this little ring, and he said, "Look at what I found." I said, "That looks like a kid's ring." And he handed it to me, and I looked at it, and it was open on the back side, and I said, "Yeah, you can have it. It's just a kid's ring." And so he stuck it in his pocket. Well, when I took him back, his grandma got home from her shift, and he showed it to her. She says, "You stole that." "No, I didn't. Gary gave it to me." "You stole that." "No, I didn't." And like that. So she said, "Come on." She got him in the car and went back down, took him down to the group home where Stella was at, worked until the third shift come in, and she had to reconcile all the drugs and everything that was used during the day, and make sure nobody got doubles, and etc. So anyway, they walked in there, and the lady handed Estelle that ring and said, Devin stole this ring. And Estelle like to died. I mean, she just almost died. That was her wedding ring. Well, make the story come around at the end is that the lady that had owned the trailer, her son was a miscreant, and he had a little group that he traveled in, and they were, you know, like at the deputy sheriff, one of the mothers, you know, was the deputy sheriff's companion, and to put it nicely. So that explained why nothing was done. And this group got caught. They got to breaking into machine sheds all over the place, and where there was equipment at, they'd have demolition derbies and running combines into tractors and tractors into stuff, driving tractors through the sidewall of the machine shed, and just literally tearing up stuff. They did that to one of our old customers, and he was in his 80s, still farming, and it put him out of the farming business because he didn't have insurance on his combine and on his tractors, and it just put him out of business. But still nothing was being done, you know. Just nothing was being done, period. And so a group of farmers informed them that, informed the legal authorities that they were going to set up and start watching all these machine sheds. And anybody that showed up at these machine sheds and that weren't supposed to be there, and you know, was one of the suspected group, they were going to shoot first and ask the questions later, except that there wouldn't be anybody alive to ask questions from. I guess they figured, the legal authorities figured out it was time to rein in the terror, and they went to one of the houses of the miscreant group and found a stolen backhoe, and found a place where big hole had been dug, and so they decided they were going to excavate that hole, and they found a total cache of stolen tools and everything. Everything, you know, it had just been buried. I guess that somebody had told them to get rid of that evidence, and but we won't make any speculations on that. But anyway, I don't know. I think they all got a smack on the wrist, and that was kind of the end of it. But the thing of the circle of the ring, I got a metal detector, and have gone out there a couple times to try to see if I could find any more rings, but there's so many nails and screws and stuff in the ground that the metal detector goes nuts around that area. So haven't found anything yet. Maybe I'll run a plow through it and plow up where that go through when what plow turns over, but another round to it. So anyway, don't take any wooden nickels. If you take wooden nickels, turn them into wooden quarters, and have a great one. Hope this story brings a laugh to you. You know where to push the button.